Lee Oswald joined the Marines 6 days after his 17th birthday and was trained in radar operations and aircraft surveillance. He distinguished himself quickly, finishing seventh in a class of 30 at Keesler Air Force Base in the aircraft control and warning operator course. Wow! He received a top secret clearance and he was sent to El Toro in California, where a lot of intelligence agencies recruited potential candidates. What are the odds? Russian is one of the toughest languages to learn, even when being taught in a classroom setting. But the official story from the Warren Commission will be that Lee Oswald taught himself Russian while in the Marines. No mention that the Monterey School of Languages was just up the coast from El Toro. What are the odds? After El Toro, Oswald got sent to Atsugi Air Force Base in Japan, and it really required that top secret clearance he had earned because Atsugi is where the above top secret U-2 spy flights originated and operated from. That must have been an exciting time. What are the odds? Very strange that Lee Oswald is seen and heard expressing interest in the Soviet system of politics and lifestyle while at Atsugi. And he is also seen and heard having discussions and weekend rendezvous with some pretty mysterious characters associated with intelligence agencies. What are the odds? In August of 1959, Oswald applied for and received a dependency discharge from the Marines saying his mother was injured. He spent only 1 day with her, and after an overnight stop to visit family in Texas, he proceeded to New Orleans, an intelligence hub, where he made travel arrangements for his defection to the Soviet Union. He headed to merry old England, and then on the same day somehow made it to Finland, even though there were no scheduled flights to Finland that day. It's almost like he must have taken a military or CIA transport. What are the odds? At the same exact time, James Angleton, head of CIA counterintelligence, had not one but two defector programs running. The second program is reported to have been created to try to flush out a suspected Soviet mole already working in U.S. intelligence. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. What are the odds? Of all the girls in Russia, Lee just happens to be introduced to Marina Prushakova, whose uncle is in Soviet intelligence. And our boy Lee falls in love and they get married. But then Lee feels like getting some home cooking back in the old US of A. But hey, a defector with a wife associated with Russian intelligence? No problem. They are welcomed back in record time and even given a repatriation loan. Happy to have you both back in America. According to the CIA, they did not even bother to interrogate old Lee. What are the odds? Lee, Marina, and their baby head to New Orleans. But where the heck is Lee going to find work now? A defector to Russia for the last 2 years? No problem. He's more than welcome at Jaeger Child's Stovall, where all employees must have high security clearance as they create maps and other intelligence assets for the U.S. Army. No worries about that defection thing, Lee. Come on aboard. Happy to have you. What are the odds? Hey, Lee, did you hear of this other job at Riley Foods here in New Orleans? Now, listen, you probably can't get employed here because it is a really, really well known front for CIA operations. Ah, you know what? Come on aboard, Lee. The job is yours. And the fact that you often show up to work and then are mysteriously gone all day or for a series of days, that's not a deal breaker. Hope you enjoy working here at Riley. What are the odds?
You're looking good, you're looking sharp. You've come so far.
Here at Riley. What are the odds? Hey, Lee, we know you're not working for the CIA or ONI or anybody, but would you mind working the summer of 1963 with our good old boy Guy Bannister? Bannister is the ex-FBI station chief in Chicago, and he also worked as the assistant superintendent of the New Orleans Police Department. But be careful because Bannister is really active in supporting and training anti Castro Cuban paramilitary group members at Lake Pontchartrain. I mean, surely you'll be helping to store weapons and deliver weapons to the anti Castro Cubans, and you'll have to be associated with some pretty unsavory characters like gun runners David Ferry and Jack Ruby, but hey, pay that no mind. What are the odds? Oh, Lee, by the way, in your spare time, if you don't mind, we'd like you to pose as a leftist. And hey, go ahead, open a Fair Play for Cuba committee chapter here in New Orleans, although you will be the only member. No worries. But Lee, make sure you don't put Guy Bannister's address, 544 Camp Street, on your pro Castro flyers. That would not make any sense at all. And also, I wouldn't tell people that Bannister gave you an office to work out of in his building right next to him. You never know what people might think. What are the odds? Hey, Lee, remember that party that guy George de Mohrenschildt gave last February? The one where you met that Ruth Payne lady? Well, guess what? Ruth wants Marina and the baby to move in with her in Dallas. She's going to pick them up right after the summer that she spends at Nassau Island with Alan Dulles, Mary Bancroft, her in laws, and a bunch of other intelligence related folks. She has to make one stop in D.C. to spend some time with her sister, who's a psychologist for the CIA. But then she'll be right over to pick up the fam and go to Dallas. What are the odds? Hey Lee, good news! Remember Ruth's husband's Michael, whose mother is best friends with Alan Dulles' mistress, Mary Bancroft? Well, somehow he says he's separated from Ruth now, but hey, you and he can both get together at Ruth's house every weekend for the whole month before Kennedy's visit to Dallas, and Michael will take you to no less than 6 political meetings instead of spending time with his kids or anything. But be careful, though. If I didn't know better, it's almost like Ruth and Michael are setting you up for something. Probably my imagination. What are the odds? Hey, Lee, I know you have been getting visits from the FBI's James Hosty, and you are on the FBI informant payroll. But were you really the Lee that J. Edgar Hoover identified as the informant who outed that four-man Cuban hit team that was sent to Chicago to kill the president from the IPP lithoplate factory on Jackson Street, right over the motorcade route? You little Dickens, you have been busy, haven't you? They even arrested a guy there that had a lot in common with you. His name was Thomas Arthur Valet. He was an ex-Marine. He worked in Japan. He had CIA connections. He trained anti-Castro Cubans in Long Island. He drove a car with a license plate registered to intelligence. What are the odds? Hey, Lee, we know from what came out in the House Select Committee on Assassinations and other government reports that you have been infiltrating some really violent anti-Cuban groups like Alpha 66. Is that how you found out about the Chicago plot? Man, you have had a busy summer. And to be seen with Clay Shaw and David Ferrie in Clinton and Jackson, Louisiana, be careful. That kind of company can come back to bite you. What are the odds? Hey, Lee, good news. Ruth Payne has found you a job at the Texas School Book Depository. No, I'm not kidding. Yes, and with any luck, the motorcade route will be changed at the last minute to make a left on Elm Street, taking it right under your building. What are the odds? And don't forget to thank old Ruth, because she will find a letter that she will claim proved you were the one to take that crazy shot at General Walker. Then she'll find another letter that she'll say that you wrote to the Soviet embassy, and then she'll find some stuff that she will claim you brought back from Mexico City, and then she'll make sure that that darn old Imperial reflex camera that supposedly took the backyard photos will miraculously appear in your duffel bag that was already searched 2 weeks prior. You have a lot to thank Ruth Payne for, Lee. What are the odds? And Lee, just a word of advice. Once you leave that second floor lunchroom to get a glimpse of the motorcade, by the way, is that praying man photo of you? Well, you might think twice about going to the Texas Theater to meet that contact. It's just a feeling. Yes, I know you will have 2 half-dollar bills with you, frequently used to meet intelligence assets that you haven't met before, but be careful. What are the odds? Oh, Lee, that Jack Ruby, he's going to be at Parkland Hospital right after the motorcade gets there, talking with national reporter Seth Canton. Then he's going to be at police headquarters trying to open the door where you will be questioned. Then he's going to be at District Attorney Wade's famous midnight news conference acting like a reporter. Then he's probably going to call police and FBI trying to tell them, quote, we are going to kill him if you don't change the transfer plans. So just a FYI, watch out for Jack. What are the odds? Lee, a quick question. Do you happen to know why Dallas Police Captain William Westbrook and Reserve Officer Kenneth Croy will be at Officer Tippett's murder scene saying that they found a wallet that belongs to you with ID that's yours and someone named Alex Hiddell? I mean, I know this wallet's going to just suddenly disappear, never be brought up again, but it's almost like they were trying to plant the wallet. Strange. What are the odds?